Welcome back. Now, Japan's economy will take a further hit of $6 billion, which is the cost of having to postpone the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, according to global sovereign analyst Rohini Malkani. That will be another blow to Japan's government, who offered its bleakest assessment on the country's economy in nearly 7 years, saying conditions in March were severe as the coronavirus pandemic shut down factories and cooled down consumption.
The coronavirus pandemic has affected several sectors in Japan over the last few months, and the Olympic Games postponement will only add more troubles for the country's hotels, airlines and tourism industries in the second half of the year. The cost of maintaining stadiums and other infrastructures could cost billions of dollars, and there will be 2 million fewer people visiting Japan with the Games postponed. A lot of the investment into the Games from stakeholders, such as sponsors and tourists, would be deferred until next year.
I think that there are two ways to kind of look at it. One is that, some of the spending will take place next year. So it's not that it's going to, that the postponement of the Games is going to have like a big impact. It probably will, some of the revenues will spill over to 2021. But now, if one kind of looks at it, what is likely to be the impact on the Japanese economy? I've kind of read some studies by some university professors who kind of estimate that the total cost of the postponement of the Games would be to the tune of $6 billion.
The government also cut its assessment on consumption, capital expenditure and business sentiment, which all took a hit from worldwide travel bans, event cancellations and supply chain disruptions caused by the pandemic.
Like the money that's been spent is mainly on the investment side of the Games, to kind of build the stadiums, etc. But one looks at the consumption side, like the additional spending that's going to come from the tourists, some of the sponsorship rights. I think some of it could kind of, spill over to next year. So the way it would look, I think I would kind of look at it, it's like it's going to be a delay in the spending. There clearly will be, some additional spending that the authorities would have to take, and that's, given the fact that they had kind of set up the stadium, set up everything for the Games beginning this year, you're going to have that cost of, maintaining the stadiums.
During the first meeting of the Tokyo 2020 task force set up to deal with these issues, Chief Executive Toshiro Muto says the priority was establishing when the Olympics would go ahead in 2021 and securing all the Games venues once again. Securing each of the 43 venues present unique challenges to organizers. Some, like the Tokyo International Forum, the weightlifting venue and Tokyo Bite-Side, expected to host the world's media, are convention centers that are booked up years in advance. Meanwhile, several members of Russia's national boxing team are flouting self-isolation rules imposed to slow the spread of the coronavirus. The Russian national boxing team returned home last week after an Olympic Games qualification tournament in London was halted on March 16 because of the rapidly spreading virus. 2 Turkish boxers and 1 coach tested positive for the coronavirus after returning home from the event. All Russians returning from abroad must self-isolate for 2 weeks and minimize their presence in public areas. Spiso Ramara, SABC News.
Now, the world of sport continues to respond to the challenge of the coronavirus pandemic. Sports people who have tested positive are receiving help. Events continue to be postponed, and players are using their platforms to educate and raise funds. However, one of the remaining large-scale events, the Tour de France cycle race, has yet to be postponed, and many take place without roadside spectators.
A Brighton and Hove Albion player has tested positive with the coronavirus. The club declined to reveal the identity of the player, but said he was doing okay. The English Premier League is currently suspended until at least April the 30th.
First of all, we've had 3 players tested so far. One has been tested positive. We're not testing them routinely, we're only testing them when symptoms emerge, but the one that tested positive was just today, so that's unfortunate, but he's okay, and obviously he's getting the care that he needs at the moment.
Hi everyone. Keep following the guidelines and stay at home.
Stay at home and protect yourselves and others.
Brighton players continue to spread the message to stay home on social media.
Please stay at home.
Please stay at home.
Blijf thuis en wees veilig.
Stay home.
Stay home and stay safe.
In Spain, the Barcelona Football Club is cutting player and staff wages to reduce the economic effects of the coronavirus crisis. All professional players at Barcelona, including 6 times World Player of the Year Lionel Messi, as well as non-playing staff, will face a compulsory wage reduction during the period of lockdown. Spain was put into lockdown on March the 14th, with citizens only allowed to leave their homes in order to conduct essential business. This as sports stars in Spain try to do their bit to help the country.
De esta pandemia que a todos nos ha cambiado la vida, ¿no?
Now is the time to launch an initiative which we hope that all Spanish sports come together in a show of solidarity and a good example of unity to align ourselves with the Red Cross response. In this project, the Red Cross clearly is struggling to get enough protective equipment and building hospital infrastructure to help the most vulnerable families, and also creating living quarters for those in need, and many more things that little by little will become apparent in the future. The objective is clear. It's to raise 11 million euros to help 1.35 million people. We trust that all of Spanish sport comes on board and supports this initiative.
Still more events have been postponed. The Indianapolis 500, promoted as the world's biggest single-day sporting event, with an estimated crowd topping 350,000, will only take place on August the 23rd. The crown jewel of American motor racing was originally scheduled for May the 24th. It is too soon to decide whether the Tour de France can go ahead amid the coronavirus pandemic. But if it does, it may be without roadside spectators in order to minimize infection risk, according to the Sports Ministry of France. The Tour de France is one of the last major global sporting events that has not yet been cancelled or postponed. Teams are already grappling with how to keep their riders fit after the cycling season was suspended last week. All races up until the end of April have been cancelled. And the International Chess Federation has finally cancelled a major tournament it was hosting in Russia after all flights to and from the country were grounded, potentially causing logistical headaches for its foreign participants. Known as the Candidates Tournament, the event brought together contenders vying for a chance to challenge defending world champion Magnus Carlsen of Norway for the world title. Simon Burke, SABC News.
And that's a wrap of your sport for now. We'll have your headlines in just a moment. This is Morning Live.